Today, we're going to share a recording from our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Consulting Success channel on YouTube. I'll now turn it over to Michael.
In this video, I'm going to share with you several ways, actually 7 ways, that you can significantly increase the profitability of your consulting business. Let's dive in. Okay, so the first way is for you to actually rework your offers. Now, that might sound like a lot of work, but it doesn't actually need to be. I'll give you an example. We had one client, actually still a client today, with a very successful business. But a challenge that they were having is they were spending a lot of time to create a deliverable. And in this case, it was a very detailed, like beautifully created report for a client. And they would do this for multiple clients. But this report was over 150 pages. Now, think for a moment, what do you do when you receive any document that is 150 pages? Most likely nothing, right? You put it to the side, you think you'll come back to it later. A 150 page report is very hard to action, right? It's very hard to kind of take the key ideas from it and implement because there's just so much there. So we talked about this whole process with the client. We looked at ways that they could achieve the same outcome that they desired for their client, still provide massive value for their client, but actually make the report more actionable. So what did we come up with? The client went from having a 150 page plus report down to a report that was about 25 pages. Now, when you get a report that's 25 pages, there's still something for you to consume, to read, right? There's still gonna be a lot of value in there, but you're definitely gonna read it, right? It's a big difference from 150 pages. But now look at the profitability of that business. So their clients, the marketplace, was still paying the same amount that they were for the 150 page report as they now are for a 25 page report. Now, why does that make sense? Well, clients are willing to do that again because the value, it's not about the deliverable, right? It's about the outcome. It's about, and so a shorter report, in fact, becomes more valuable for the client because they're more likely to implement what is inside of it. And that's what they want. They don't want a report, right? They want the outcome from that report. But for my client, right, the time that it took for them to develop a 150 page report, all the team members that need to be involved in the design and the text and just everything that goes into that went down to 25 pages. So they're still getting paid the same amount as they were before, but they're able to increase the profitability of that service, right, of that offer significantly because it's gone down in terms of size and scope. So that's number one, is to look at your overall offers and ask yourself, is there some place where I'm spending maybe too much time, too much effort, too much resources, too much, money, expense, team members' time, where we can remove it, we can adjust it, right? We can, again, maybe just cut it. And the outcome for the client will still be the same, if not very similar, if not even better, right? Without lowering fees. So that's one way, right away, you can boost the profitability of your business. All right. So the second way is for you to actually shift from the focus of a deliverable to outcome and value. So I just talked about this in number one, but to provide a little more kind of context and hopefully an example for you, think about it this way. A lot of consultants talk about selling a workshop or selling some kind of facilitation or selling a report, as I mentioned, right, in the first example. But all those things are commodities. Anybody, all of your competitors can also offer a workshop. They can offer a report. They can offer to facilitate, so on and so forth. So what makes you unique? Well, it's not the deliverable, right? It is the actual outcome and value and how likely the client, right, believes that you can deliver on that outcome. But if you focus on, instead of selling a commodity, like, hey, we have a great workshop and this is what we do in the workshop. Instead of focusing on that, if you focus on the transformation that the workshop will actually provide to that client, you can now earn significantly more because a workshop at a commodity level, might be $5,000, maybe a little more. But a workshop that, again, not the workshop, but the transformation that can come from a workshop, the outcome, the value of what's going to come out of that might be worth $25,000. So that's a 5x, right, increase in your fees without having to do anything different. So your profitability increases significantly because you're now communicating much greater value, right, to the client because you're shifting the focus from the deliverable to the actual transformation, the outcome, the value. All right, let's talk about number 3, which is for you to actually move up market. What does that mean? It means that you think about landing larger clients and landing clients that are better funded. So here's kind of one way to look at it. If you solve a problem for a client, and this is a smaller business or smaller organization, and let's just say that you make you help them to achieve a 10% improvement, and that might be a 10% of improvement in their sales. It might be 10% improvement in productivity, might be 10% improvement in 10% fewer people leaving the organization. It might be 10% increase in donations and fundraising for a nonprofit. But if you take that same 10%, so you have the ability to make it, let's say, a 10% improvement in whatever area that might be, but you take that 10% and you now do the exact same thing for a larger organization. Let's say you're a nonprofit consultant and your specialty is increasing donations, and you can do that at a 10% level. Well, 10% improvement, call it on a small nonprofit with, let's say, $1 million kind of fundraising goal. So you're helping to make an extra $100,000. Fantastic, right? But let's say now you move up and you're working with a nonprofit that's doing 10 million. Well, now 10% is 1 million. Or you work with a nonprofit that is 50 million, right? And now it's a 5 million improvement. So the value of your work, even though the work itself may not have changed, you don't have to spend more time, you don't have to spend more money necessarily. Like, your inputs into that project haven't necessarily changed, but the outcome has significantly in terms of the value of the outcome, just because it's a larger organization, right? Larger organization, typically larger problems, therefore more complex in some cases, but also more valuable when you solve them. So if you want to earn more, if you want to increase your profitability, consider working with larger, more established clients. Many of our clients that we work with in our Clarity Coaching program, when they make this shift, they find that they actually don't need to spend any more time. They don't have to spend any more money. It's the same amount of energy and effort that they were putting to work with smaller organizations. But now when they apply it to larger organizations, even the sales cycle in some cases can be a little bit longer, right? The value and the profitability increase that they get to experience in their business makes it very well worthwhile. Okay, let's talk about number 4. So the 4th thing that you can do to significantly increase your profitability is to analyze your offers. Now, I've talked about offers before, but this is about analyzing your offers. Let's say that you provide 3 different services, right? Some of you might have 5 or 10 different services, but let's just make it simple and say you have 3 services. Generally, what you're going to find is that some of those, maybe there's one, I should say, of those 3 that is significantly more profitable than the other 2. Not only is it more profitable, you'll likely also see that there's one where there's significantly higher demand, meaning more people want that. Therefore, the question is, why not just focus on doing a lot more of number 1 and a lot less of number 2 or number 3? You may even make the decision when you look at the your analysis that the 3rd offer really isn't contributing much to your revenue, to your profit. Some people want it, so you've added it, but it takes a lot more time. It's significantly less profitable. It's essentially bloat, right? It's waste. It's just kind of debt that has been collected over time that doesn't need to be there. And so you might just decide to stop offering and talking about number 3. And so now you have 2 offers, or maybe even just 1 core offer. But as you do this kind of analysis of your offers, you will find in almost all cases that there'll be 1 or maybe 2 of them that will rise head and shoulders above all the others with significantly higher levels of profitability and demand, and therefore opportunity for you. Okay, so the 5th step that you can take to increase the profitability of your consulting business is to productize. When you productize, what you do is you shift from custom work to systems, processes, right, to productization, so that your team can deliver faster and at less cost, right? That equals higher profit, right? You get to increase your profits by shifting away from custom work to essentially doing the same or similar thing over and over and over again, which means you get better and better and better at it, which also means that you get to develop documentation, right? SOPs, standard operating procedures, or processes, checklists, whatever it is, so that it's more efficient for you to deliver whatever your productized offer is. But it also means that it's much, much easier for you to train team members, even in some cases, entry-level team members, because they can follow the steps and process. If it's custom, it's very hard for somebody to follow because they don't know what to do. There's a lot of different, kind of variances or or variations or challenges that can come up. But when you've documented everything as you're providing the same or similar, productized service over and over again, you get to essentially capture, most, if not all, of the variations that come up because it's not custom. Therefore, right, it's easier for you to deliver. It's faster. It's more efficient, more effective, and easier to train people. All of that combined helps you to scale your consulting business, but also helps you to increase the profit of your consulting business. All right, so let's talk about number 6, and that is to analyze your team's performance, right? We're talking generally about how do you increase the profitability of your consulting business. And if you have a team, even if those team members are not all full-time, you've actually likely already seen that not every team member performs at the same level. And the longer that you keep people around who are not performing, the greater the drag on your business, right? The more it's actually holding your business back from growing. So what do? Well, 2 ideas for you. Again, none of this is legal advice or financial advice, but I'm sharing what I've personally experienced over, a couple of decades of building consulting businesses and working with thousands of consultants, especially through our Clarity coaching program at Consulting Success. And that is that you can, number one, and this is typically where I start, is to talk to your team members, especially like those that are performing exceptionally well. You want to find out what are they doing that's different and what's leading to that level of performance, because you can get them to document and to start to teach and train others that maybe are not performing as well, to essentially share what's working for them. But those that aren't working or not, I should say, not performing as well, they may need some additional training, guidance, support, coaching. So try and work to make things better. Try and take a lower performer to a higher performer. But if you still find that even after doing that, it doesn't work out and they're not able to improve their performance, their productivity, their effectiveness, then you may just need to make a staffing change. As you do that, right, as you're able to get more people, let's say from this level to this level, and then from this level to this level, that will, in almost all cases, lead to greater profitability and growth inside of your business. And then the 7th and final way that you can increase the profitability of your consulting business that I'm going to talk about in today's video is the simplest. I've saved the best for last. And that is simply that the easiest and fastest way for you to increase the profitability of your consulting business is to increase your fees. This is the low-hanging fruit for almost every single consultant. And that is to, again, just increase your fees. Now, I'm not suggesting that you increase your fees if it doesn't deliver value for a client. Meaning, if you say, yeah, I'm going to increase my fees, I'm going to charge $50,000, but the value of the work that you're doing only creates $40,000 in value for your client. I'm not saying to do that, right? What I'm saying is, as long as you are providing significant value to your client and you're providing them a significant return on their investment, meaning that they're going to get greater and should be much greater benefit than what they've invested into working with you, then you should be increasing your fees until, right, you get to a level where it seems like it doesn't make sense to increase it anymore, right? Because they wouldn't receive a high enough return on investment. And there's lots of different ways to look at this. We do a lot of this training and kind of talking with our clients about their specific situation inside the Clarity coaching program. But if you want to increase your profitability, just increase your fees. We've had clients that have, increased their fees 40%, 100%, 300%. They're making 3 times, right, more for delivering the exact same thing. They don't need to spend more time, more energy, more effort, more team. They don't need any of that, right? They can use what they have. Essentially, you can take your current setup and just by learning how to make some of the changes that we're talking about here today, learning how to communicate greater value, learning how to be more strategic about the positioning of your offers and your pricing strategy, right? There's several factors to consider, but once you know what you need to do, increasing your fees is actually very easy. And when you do that, you give yourself a raise pretty much overnight. And so this is the fastest way because you can make the change today with every new person, client, proposal, that's in kind of the pipeline. And the next day, right, already start seeing the benefits of significantly higher fees. So there you have it, 7 ways to increase the profitability of your consulting business. If you want to see examples of consultants who have done this inside of their business and how they've applied these strategies to help them to grow to the next level so they can realize their full potential and really have a strategic plan to growing their consulting business, just check out the link below this video. You'll see lots of examples, case studies, and this is also the kind of work that we do with our clients inside the Clarity Coaching program. So if you want to set up a call to talk about your situation and see if it's a fit, then go ahead and do that. There should be a link also below this video. Or if not, you can head over to consultingsuccess.com to see everything that we have going on and all the resources that we have to help consultants and consulting business founders to grow their business to the next level.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, you'll love all the free resources, case studies, and best practices at consultingsuccess.com. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Thank you so much.